Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of I Am Legion for Dying Light 1 and 2. And my name is Jason, the creator of I Am Legion for Dying Light 2. And I wanted to jump on and show you guys a quick status update to the latest version of 1.1. So I don't know if you guys got a chance to see over the weekend, but 1.1 officially came out. This is an update that's been rolling since around June. And it has finally landed. And I'm sure if you've tried it out since then, you've noticed there was a few glitches, a few minor things, and so there's a hotfix that was released just tonight, 1.1a, and that is meant to fix that inside the game. And let me go ahead and just talk about some of the updates for this latest version. So you guys haven't really seen a lot if you haven't been a part of the Discord. 1.0 came out back in July, I believe. And a lot of the features that were locked in at that time really started to touch on the whole custom AI and trying to work towards getting those custom appearances inside the game. Well, coming back into 1.1, there are so many new features to the game, and I'm really excited for you guys to jump in and try these out. So, first and foremost is Diverse Z's. So, that's the name I've chosen for what has gone from around, give or take, for the standard zombies, around 21 AI models. You will now find over 1,000 models for these zombies inside the game world. And as you travel around the world, they will appear randomly, so they are all set to randomly spawn. So hopefully this adds a little bit more interesting landscape for you guys as you're traveling around. I know a few people have already started to report some confusion on, oh, is that normal? Are renegades supposed to be chasing me? That kind of thing. Yes, they are part of the game. Yes, they are part of the mod now, to where they will start chasing you. You will have zombies that will have different appearances. There are some visual glitches still, so I'm still working this out. This is a massive number of models, and there are a few. So I had an invisible zombie attack me out of nowhere earlier when I was testing. That one I'm gonna have to really trial and error to figure out which one is the invisible zombie. But the whole idea here is that as you're coming back to this game world, I wanted to try to give you guys a better experience of being able to explore this world and take on new enemies and try new things inside this world. And so, on top of the infected or the zombies being updated, I've also gone ahead and updated the PK as well. So you will now find female PKs throughout the world. So you should find female bowmen, commanders, and soldiers, one-handed soldiers as well. So as you travel through the world, don't be surprised if you start to notice that there's a few female PK that are added to the ranks. And I'm curious to see if this makes people want to jump in and try to help save more of these PK that are spawned throughout the world. On top of that, you now have a custom character selection. So I'll need to head over to a base in order to show that one also. I'll talk about some of the other features as well. So on top of the diverse Z's, we also have the armor packs that I've been working on. So it came in at over 200. So it's 200 plus unique pieces of armor. But on top of that, it's also they've been added to the spawn lists as everything from basic armor up to green, blue, violet, and also a new platinum armor as well. And so because of that, altogether, I think the total numbers were around 800 new armor elements to the game that you will find throughout the world. So I am still looking into the best way to represent this armor in the game. So I'm still trying to figure out. So they've been given basic icons to represent the different groups, and I'm still planning on going through and actually recording all of the different armor sets, but it's going to take a long time. There are so many different pieces of armor in the game now that have been put together that just the amount of time that it would take to get all of those put into a stash or however I would spawn those, and then actually go through and report myself in each one, it's going to take a very large time. So in the meantime, please jump inside the world, start enjoying the game and finding those armor sets. So what I've done is with the update to the loot system in the game as well, I've hidden these armor sets throughout the world. So if you want to start a new game, you should start to experience these new armors even at low levels. So they are hidden throughout the world, and I've tried to make those as realistic as possible. And so you should, for example, if you find a military convoy, you should be more likely to find military armor. And I will also be releasing more details on the actual names of those different armor sets and what each one does. I have started creating custom armor representations and buffs based on different armor sets. More details will follow with those. I've run into a glitch on there as far as I'm writing the code. It just doesn't seem to be working for some reason inside the game, and so it kind of slowed me down a little bit here, trying to figure out why that's not working. And so I'm continuing to look for a solution for that before releasing all the details, because I am hoping to get one of my more favorite armor groups in the game, which is the Forager. The Forager armor class, which basically adds the backpacks and different Forager armor throughout the world. And if you put on that armor, it will extend your inventory space and your chances of picking up legendary gear. And so that's one of my more favorite ones, and hopefully I can get that one in there and get that update out to you guys shortly. But for the meantime, the rest of the armor packs, there are now PK, Bandits, Renegade, Brawler, let's see, Hunter, Custom Banshee. I'll get to that one here in a second. But there are all sorts of different armor sets, and if you've been following me on the Discord, you've been seeing those releases, and it can also, a large amount of that can be found in the change logs. So I will try to get some media attached to that here shortly. On top of that, there is a new version of the game, or a new mod for the game, which allows you to play as the zombies. So this is still an or in progress update. But the idea here is that if you now go into your extra, if you go to your stash, on top of the custom characters, so that's another one that we'll talk about. Outside of just the custom characters, you also now have these icons that represent the different zombies. And if you select these different icons and then go in here and press X, you'll see that you receive a custom character who, this is the Screamer. Now, the reason for this mask, so I am still working on kind of a updated look to this guy as well. I was playing around with some of the visuals, seeing what I could get, and I don't love the face either, but the way they designed these models, they didn't make it easy to actually to do this in the game without some visual glitching. And so the idea here is that I wanted to create the Skinner class, and by creating the Skinner class, you receive some of the actual armor sets or appearances of you wearing the skin of the slain. So who you found in the world, you've killed and taken their skin, and you are now using their skin. So kind of a creepy premise, but the idea here is that as you pick up these different loot items off the actual infected, so inside the world, I've actually hidden several new loot items that are called platinum items. So they're one tier above gold. They're actually this amber dark, and those are considered platinums. And the idea here is that as you're finding those throughout the world, those will allow you to actually play the infected, which you will actually take on attributes of the infected, similar to some of the videos I'm sure you've been seeing, where basically this will allow you to jump higher, have night vision, swing faster, do all sorts of different things based on which infected you are. So currently there is the update where the fully implemented one is the Play the Banshee update. And that one has been fully set up with armor sets. So inside the world, you can actually find an armor set for the Banshee that will make her much faster. And as you kill the Banshees inside the world, you have a chance of finding this platinum gear, and then also a buff that will allow you to run faster and do all sorts of cool things as a Banshee. Keep an eye out for that. I'm also working on one, so you'll also find right now inside the world a one for the Goon and also one for the Volatile. This also includes weaponry for them as well. And so for the Volatiles, for example, this is also an example of one that the head itself cannot be used as a player. So there is some visual defects on the head just because I'm not actually able to go in there and use the actual head from the Volatile. But the idea here is that if you use the actual skin, the idea is that as you walk around in first person, you'll actually see the body of the Volatile. Now, what this is useful for is that as you start to find the custom armor that I've hidden in the game for the Volatile as well, you'll start to get the perks of being a Volatile as well. So as you put on that actual armor, your armor amount will go up, and if you look down, you will also still see yourself as a Volatile. If you don't do this currently, if you're finding these custom sets, each one of these custom sets will have the icon of a infected. For each one of those, they will not be. You will not be able to see yourself inside of that armor. If you look down, you won't be able to see your legs, arms, hands, that kind of thing, depending on which gear you put on. And so, because of that, that's one of the reasons that I've added this extras section. So, if you go in here and turn on one of these as well, whoever's armor you're wearing, you should then get the visual update for the first person view as well. And that will allow you to then wear whatever armor you would like as well. So, you can actually go on there and put, different pants on and that kind of thing. And you will now see that in first person along with the actual correct skin as well. So on top of that, I also have updated the game to where you can now play as different characters. So I'm still researching how best to make this tied to the actual achievement system or reward system. Basically, the idea here is that the ones on the lower tier, these white outfits, are basically your starter characters, and the idea is that as you go through here and you press X, you can actually switch your appearance. So if you're playing co-op with your friends and you just want to have a different appearance from your buddies for whatever photos you guys want to take, or just so you guys have something that looks a little bit different from each other, you can go in here and select those different skins. And the idea is that it will not change your actual armor. Everything else will stay the same, so you'll be able to wear the exact same things as Aiden, but you'll have a different visual appearance than your friends. And this works for first person as well. There is a visual glitch with this that I'm still working on, so you can see there where there's a transparency issue on the hands and feet, so you can for some reason see through the pant legs, and this will only apply to the custom armor that I've added to the game. For whatever reason, they've got some material code or something like that that will make it to where you can't see through it for the vanilla armor, but for my new custom armor, you can see through the legs. So if that's a deal breaker, all you have to do is make sure you're wearing one of my picked up custom gloves. I don't have gloves or shoes available to show you right now, but if you find one of those as well, that problem will go away. So it's only when you're using stock or vanilla gear that you'll start to see it come through that custom armor. Keep me posted on how you guys are feeling about that. I don't know currently a good solution for that, but hopefully I'll find a solution here soon. For that, I've also, on top of ethnicity, I've also tried to add gender change. So you'll have the difference between the plague is the male, and the female icons are meant to represent females clearly. And I have gone in there and updated the female skin as well. So if you change this, your arms in the game will actually also update as well. And your body type will as well. So you will actually get a new appearance inside the game, and you can play as a lady. Now, this doesn't actually apply down to the audio, so the audio won't actually be anything different. This will still be a male voice. And some of these armor sets, so you can see here, some of these armor sets actually had to have arms made for them. And so because there has to be arms made for them, some of them have sleeves, some of them don't. But the ones that do have to have arms, I've not figured out a clever way to make that switch, because really all it is static mesh, and there's no way to really do that. So there's no way to update that. But I have some ideas there. I'm still working on it. But the end result will always end up being some clipping or something with these armor sets. So keep me posted on how you guys are feeling about these new armor sets. Happy to continue to get these updates in, but also do not want to try to push the deal too far to where people are like, that just doesn't look like I don't like these many different ugly looking armors in the game. I want you guys to be able to actually enjoy some of these new armors and go enjoy the game playing with a new look. So hopefully the idea here is you can have a completely different look from all your friends in the game and actually enjoy those new photo mode as well. So on top of there being, so now, like I said, to recap altogether, we now have special infected variation as well. So currently, I've gotten to the swamp virals, but I have not gotten to custom volatiles, screamers. Um, let's see, Banshees, Chargers, and most of the special infected have not been updated except the swamp virals. So those have been updated with 20 new variations for them. As I mentioned before, PK have been updated. I'm still working on custom bandit packs, so new bandits are on the way. So that's Diverse Z currently. Then we have custom characters, so you can now select custom characters. We have the Play the Zombie update, so you can now play as a zombie. I've hidden some new weapons inside the game as well. So on top of the weapons specific to the special infected, I've also hidden some plague items inside the game. So if you find plague bearers inside the game and you kill them and loot them, you will start to find two new types of grenades. So one is a doomsday device, which basically will take out an entire city block with that one grenade. That is a more rare find. And then you have the regular plague grenade. If you find the plague grenades or the doomsday device, you can throw those into groups of humans and immediately turn them into virals. It's pretty fun when playing around bases and that kind of thing. You can actually start to have a lot of fun trying to turn an entire base over. But this should lead to a lot of excitement with trying to play against the renegades and these different groups in the future. I'm also able to make a lot of changes to the actual conflicts and all that, or conflicts and custom AI groups now, and so a lot of updates are on the way for the Colonel's Men and these different bandits and AI throughout the map. So lots of good updates coming. Looking forward to sharing those with you guys. So on top of all this, there is a new installer. So to take a step back and quickly talk about this installer. So let me bring that up really quick. When you download the new version of the mod, you'll receive this exe installer once you pull it out of the zip. Basically, if you run this, let me go through this really quickly so you guys get it. Basically, in there, I've included some very basic stuff. I've also included links to join the Discord community, to support the development, and to see the latest change logs. You can also directly access the link to the full change log. If we hit next, you'll see that I've added a couple of custom options here. And basically the idea here is that if you don't want a lot of the modifications, if you only want a couple of things, you can actually go in here. For example, you don't want the updated zombie looks, you don't want the changes in spawns, you just want to play the vanilla game with some of the other elements. You can do the casual survivor. But if you do want that custom experience with a lot of the new features, you need to go in here and check this custom menu and RPAC overrides, and then you can select whichever difficulty you actually want to play. I have not tested a lot of like what if you go in here and check all of these, so I don't know all the conditions. Please just select one and hit next. When you do so, so for mine, it's already identified where the route is for my game. So here in the future, as you get the new latest updates, you should be able to go in there and immediately install the update. And you should also be able to go in here and run this again and change the difficulties. So say you want to go in here and you realized, I don't want the ultimate survivor, I actually want the survivor. You should be able to go in here and just hit next again. It'll let you know that you're going to overwrite, and you just go ahead and press it again, and it'll go ahead and overwrite everything and switch that difficulty. So hopefully this will allow you guys to test out some of these new difficulties, try some new things in the game. If you like them, great. If you don't, easy to change, easy to, update. And hopefully that makes things a little bit easier for you guys. Also, as you guys are continuing to play the game and you have things you want to discuss, jump on the Discord community. There'll be links on this YouTube video. There are also links on the Nexus. Feel free to jump on and give your feedback. I'm on there. I'm Doc on holiday. Feel free to drop any information in the different threads. I'm happy to continue to discuss. Finally, some of these blocks that have been in my way for the past year are slowly getting out of the way as we're finding out more about what we can modify in the game. I'm happy to discuss with you guys and then also continue to update the game. So the file size will probably only get larger from here on out. I'm still trying to learn what all can be changed with the game, and I'm looking forward to your guys' feedback as we go. Let me pull up my list really quick and make sure I didn't miss anything specific here. So the latest hotfixes, in case you guys did download, you're curious about what the hotfix changes from this weekend. Basically, there was a couple of people that reported there was a bug with the virals. So the virals have been updated to where they will no longer have this weird glitch where they wouldn't die. This was because I was turning off the sunlight death. And because of that, it was basically they were dying, but they weren't actually falling to the ground. So they were already dead, but they were still animated. So that was the reason that they were still moving in place. And then also I figured out how to do zombies with weapons, but it turns out that was causing a couple of issues inside the game logic as well. So that has also been removed. And then also I've included this update to the main menu. So you should now get this custom main menu when you launch the game for anyone watching. And if you haven't seen the image that I've added to the Nexus page, I'll just go ahead and launch again so you can see what this looks like. And I'll explain that a little bit. Also, I did include the 20 new updates to the Drowner Infected and 108 updates and variants to the male and female PKs. This does not include heavy two-handed female PKs. Currently, it is just the soldier, the bowman, and commander. I do have plans to bring in all sorts of new custom AI, and so we'll have updates here shortly, but I have some ideas and some thoughts on some new fun AI to include with that as well. So you can see here, I just had the armor on. This is the armor that I was wearing before. And a couple of key things to note here on the main menu. So first and foremost, you will see the latest version of I Am Legion on here. So this is currently 1.1. And then down at the bottom, let me make sure that I can actually get to this and make sure, yep, my face is in the way. Let me turn this off. And we'll actually slide that up a little bit. Down here at the bottom, I wanted to specifically talk about this. So when you launch the game with this new custom menu, if you don't enable the custom menu, that's your choice. But I would highly recommend using the new custom content. With this latest version, if this does not match the official version of the game, then you probably are going to have a problem. I've received all sorts of reports now that there are inventory bugs, all sorts of things that are happening with these latest official updates. And so because of that, when they release a new official update, if they come in there and they redo something with the inventory and I'm adding new content, I can't trace down whether or not it's due to my mod or if it's different mods that are causing it. But basically I've been hearing, that people have been losing their save games and all sorts of craziness. I don't like that kind of stuff. It definitely turns me away from the whole modding scene. So please, 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 if that version that I've added to the bottom there does not match up with the official version, that probably means you're coming back for the first time in a while. You want to try a new update, and the game has literally just broken the mod because of the update. And I'm probably already working on the solution, but it hasn't been shared yet. And so from here on out, you should get that new version on the main menu that should give you a good indicator if you need to be backing up your saves or not. So if you launch the game and you see those versions are different, please just stop the game really quick and back up your save game, just because I definitely don't want to be one of the reasons that you lose all your progress. Okay, guys, I think that's most of it. I will also include right here at the end, once again, how to get to the configuration file so that you can continue to modify the game. I think some people are not entirely aware of the actual file, so I want to make sure that everybody is actually aware. If we head over to the actual install route, so I have mine in a custom location. Wherever you guys have yours, make sure that when you're installing the mod that you're pointing that in the right direction. So I'm actually going to uninstall the mod really quick. We'll just go ahead and drop that out. And then I'm going to reinstall it really quick. It should ask where I want to install it. I've given this a Dying Light 2 blank information here of the C drive. This is not auto detecting your game. So if it's not actually installed at this location, it's just going to install into a new folder, that's not going to help you out. So I did not want to access your registry or do anything weird. I just wanted to give you guys the ability to go in here and hit browse. I will also point out that when you do this, because I had to point what folder you're looking for here, you get this weird bug where it adds the name to the end of whichever folder as you're going. So as you're clicking through here, it will actually be the common folder. So if you're working with Steam, if you have the Steam version, it's actually going to be the common folder that you select. If you select Dying Light 2, you'll get this, and you'll see that it'll just double up those folders. Go ahead and if it does this, just go ahead and remove that second Dying Light 2 and then hit next, and it'll tell you that it already exists. That's fine. Select your options and then hit next, and you're good to go. You can also hit don't create a start menu folder. I apologize, that was one of the defaults for this installer pack that I wasn't able to get rid of. If you do check that, it will remember that in the future and you won't see that option again. So to go in here and talk about how to modify that config. So again, if we go in here and we go to our source file, so if you're under your root, you can actually access this by going in here to your Dying Light, right-clicking and say browse local files. If you do that, it'll take you right to your root directory. So if you're trying to figure out where you installed your Dying Light, you can always use that method. If you go in here under ph and then source, this is where we were previously installing the mod. You'll see that the data 3 pack is still there. So that is, I am still installing that. That is still the go-to default that I'm using. It will always be the data 3. So if you open your data 3, I encourage using WinRAR, WinZip, whatever, 7-zip, whatever works best. Go ahead and if you right click those pack files, if you haven't associated it before, if you right click this, you can go in here and say open with. Once you hit open with, you can say go and browse your archiver, select it, say always open. It'll update it for your whole operating system. You can open these pack files immediately then. And basically, because of the way that these are set up, I actually went in here and named mine the MTH file, not an SCR. And one of the things that I like about this file format is that you can actually associate this with an editor. So you can actually go in here and say, okay, I want to open this file with Notepad. And if we click that, you'll see that we immediately load that up. So if we open this up really quick, let's go ahead and say, let me say move to other view, and we'll go ahead and bring this up so you guys can see this front and foremost. Basically, this config is going to install based on the difficulty setting that you've chosen in the installer. And down to this list, you have all sorts of different options that you can go in here and do for the game. So I encourage you guys, if there's something specific that you do not like about the mod, I encourage you guys to go look inside this config. I've still not completely overhauled and gone through and updated all of these changes. But one way to really kind of quickly see what has been changed is that ones that have these clear indicators, these little graphics I've added, these little slashes to the left and right, those are ones that I've gone through and I've updated. And so as you go through here, you can kind of tell which ones are outdated. The UI options have been disabled, so this big UI section down here at the bottom, interface section, does not currently work outside of some of the location information. Basically, what I mean by this is that the color itself has been disabled for now. A lot of people didn't like the color, but you can go in here and disable or turn on different options down here as well. So say, for example, we want our screamer icon to show up. This is currently being disabled on Ultimate Survivor due to the difficulty. If we want this turned on, you can go here and just basically select false and just type in all caps true. For anything that's currently in this config, please make sure to pay attention to how it's formatted. For example, if you have an integer, then it is going to be a whole number. If it's going to be a float, then it's going to be a decimal point. Make sure you're doing a 0 dot something or a 1 dot something, or make sure you're keeping that format. I've seen a lot of people write to me that say, hey, the game's crashing, game's breaking, and we come to find out that they did this, and that is not a float. And so because of that, that will actually cause the game to crash, and so that will no longer work. Feel free to go through here and modify whatever you would like to change, and if you have recommendations of things that you commonly like to change inside the game, please shoot over your ideas on the Discord channel, and if you have any good ideas, I'll try to add those to the list, and we'll try to get those in at a later time. There's also the spawn and density settings. This is the most commonly used one on here. Basically, if you want to go in here and add more zombies to your game and you want the game to be even more intense, you can go in here. I've got this broken apart by daytime and nighttime. On the daytime side, if you want to go in here and actually cause this to be flooded with zombies, say we actually don't want to do it on daytime, we want to do it on night, you can decrease these numbers. What this is the distance between the zombies that it's doing a fill pattern. And so as it's going through here, if you drop this number lower, it's going to increase the amount of zombies that flood that area. If you raise that up, it should also help your frames. So if all of a sudden you guys are getting frame issues, this is probably a great place to start. If it was working perfect previously and all of a sudden the frames are getting hit, it's probably because we have so many zombies inside the game. It's easy to go in here and start to up these and still have an awesome game, still have tons more zombies. So the frame optimized rating is still higher than the vanilla game. So regardless of what you change these to, you're still going to have more in the game than the vanilla experience. So please, play around with this, figure out what works best for you. And then also one thing I'll mention down here as well is that the spawn logic for these screamers. So the screamers are currently set up to where I've rebalanced the game a little bit to where the screamers, they used to be camera systems that were on every street block, kind of annoying, didn't really care for them too much. And I just noticed, good God, I hope my audio wasn't low this entire time. I apologize if it was. That's really obnoxious if it was, but I can see here that looks like it's about as maxed out as I can get. Anyway, so if you want more screamers in the game, to go back to this, there were screamers inside the game, but there were so many of them that every time you walked around a corner, they would scream and then the whole map would come down on you. I wanted to update this to where the idea is that as you're exploring the world, you have the potential to run into a screamer. If you have a potential to run into a screamer, then there's a small chance not a small chance, there's a chance that as soon as you run into that screamer, they're going to bring the whole map down on your head. And so the idea here is that you're able to go out into the world and explore and do whatever you like inside the world. And if you happen to run into a screamer, you need to do heads up, be aware that that screamer is there and that they might start an entire chase event. And so if you want to increase this, if you want to have more screamers in the game, go ahead and drop this down to 100. Like this is a min and a max. So drop it to something like 50 and 100. It is very easy to end up with way too many screamers inside the map. And so currently, from what I've seen last time I've tried this, there was definitely more inside of Old Villador than the city area. For some reason, the city area spawns are a little bit different. But play with this, have a good time, figure out what's a good balance. But it's very easy to go in here and make these changes. When you're done, whatever you've set that setting to, go ahead and just hit save. I'm using Notepad++. It's great for making these small edits and modding the game. Go ahead and hit save. Close this. It'll ask if you want to update the rare files. Say yes, and you're good to go. You can go ahead and launch the game again and you're set. Continue to play with those settings, whatever works best for you. But if you've set that association with Notepad or Notepad++, you can now just open this archive whenever you want and just double click that MTH file and open these and make those edits. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. Thank you guys again so much for your support. Thank you again for your continued following, and people have been jumping on and checking out the mod for so long now. I really appreciate it. You guys are the only reason I'm still doing it at this point. I really appreciate your guys' time and jumping on there and supporting the mod. And so I look forward to the next iteration, next round of updates. Please keep me posted on how it's going for you guys, and stay safe out there. Happy gaming, guys.